Today is February 25th, and today's video, I want to talk about all the news coming out about the Department of Ed taking down the loan forgiveness and income-driven repayment plan applications. I absolutely want to address the concerns of borrowers as well as our lender partners who this essentially puts a lot of borrowers, there's over 10 million borrowers that are on administrative forbearance because they applied to save. Okay, so I want to address what is going to happen, as well as is it really true that you cannot file into income driven and or for forgiveness. So that's the two parts of this video. First, let me address the feelings of anxiety a lot of borrowers feel. They're stuck, they're thinking, wait, if I want to buy a home and the lender's saying they can only use 1% of my balance, I need to get into repayment, what do I do, right? There's a lot of anxiety around it. So I want to address that. First and foremost, the core part of what LoanSense does is we help borrowers in that exact situation. If you encounter borrowers and they are in pause, administrative forbearance or deferment or whatever they call it, LoanSense can take a borrower out of forbearance and put them into an income-driven plan, even though there's all this news coming out and saying the Department of Education takes down key forgiveness and repayment applications. Okay, it is true. If you go to studentaid.gov, they take it down. However, borrowers can still enroll in these programs. They just can't do it through studentaid.gov. LoanSense's product, we do an e-file. So we can still enroll borrowers into programs and get them out of forbearance, even though they cannot do it themselves on studentaid.gov. Okay, I just want to make that very clear. So if you or you know borrowers who you're working with who are in forbearance and they need to get out of forbearance, LoanSense can absolutely do that. We can take people out of $0 payments and get them a payment that is affordable and will help them qualify for a mortgage. If that's your situation, I'm speaking to you as well. Okay, that's number one. So the idea that just because the application is no longer on studentaid.gov does not mean you cannot enroll. That is just simply false. People are like, oh my God, what do I do? It's simply false. If you cannot figure out how to do it manually, it says you have to do it manually, which is essentially mailing in an application. LoanSense has infrastructure to e-file it outside of studentaid.gov because there have been many instances where studentaid.gov and filing directly through that has shut down. So we have built our own e-filing infrastructure to continue to file for borrowers, okay? So that's number one. So if that is you and you need to get into repayment for the purpose of mortgage closing, know that we can help still, okay? And I say that to lenders who are sending us people as well as you, a borrower yourself. If you are not trying to buy a home and you are in save forbearance, what are we seeing? We're seeing borrowers receive letters that essentially say you don't have to enroll your income-driven paperwork until the middle of this year, all the way until May, all the way extending into 2026, okay? So there is still time to enroll income-driven paperwork. So you're less affected by the pause in the fact that studentaid.gov has taken down this application. However, there are people that are thinking, hey, wait, do I have to make a payment? If your servicer posts that you're required to make a payment, then you're required to make a payment. I've also heard from lenders and people saying, oh, people's credits are being hit because they haven't made their payments. And oh, it's the student loan borrower's fault. It is absolutely not your fault if your loans have been transferred and you did not update your mailing address, so they've been unable to inform you that your servicer has been changed, okay? It's a high possibility. A lot of borrowers have had their student loan servicer changed, transferred. A lot of MOHELA borrowers have been transferred to Ed Financial. They did not receive the letter or documentation from Ed Financial. They have gone into repayment. They did not know that because they're not receiving the paperwork, and now they're not making payments. It's not purposeful. It's because they're not tracking their servicer transfer. So here's my number one tip for any borrower who is like, why is it saying my student loans are due? I'm not receiving anything. Okay. You need to go onto studentaid.gov, log into your account, and go under My Aid, and there is your student loan file there. You need to go ahead and open it and look at the status of your student loans. If you're very confused by how to read that documentation because it's a text file, You can upload it into myloansense.com. If you sign up for a free account, we will tell you the current status of your student loans by updating your student loan aid file directly into our platform, okay? If you need additional guidance, you can also directly schedule, and we can help you from that point as well, okay? I just want to put that out there because it's really important that you download your aid file, have it, review it, and know what the status of your student loans are so that your credit doesn't get hit by 50, 100. I've even heard some lenders telling us 200 points because people's student loans have come into repayment and they have not been watching out. Like they wanted to get their loans out of save and then they didn't see the paperwork of when it was due and their loans got transferred, okay? So there's been credit hits because of student loans because we're no longer in Biden's on-ramp to repayment. We're out of that, which means if you do not make your on-time payment, your credit will be hit, okay? So again, 2 points. If you're trying to buy a home, we can still get you into repayment regardless of what Forbes and all these articles are coming out and saying. Number 2, absolutely go download your file at studentaid.gov. It's called Your Data. Literally, it's like download my data on My Aid. It's under the tab literally called My Aid, and the link is at the very top. Download that, see the status of your student loans, know who your student loan servicer is from that. It will also have your address. So that address is incorrect. You need to update your address with the government. You can do it on student aid. They should ask you right when you log in what your updated address is. When you find out if you have a new servicer, make sure they have your updated address as well. Those are pro tips. So number 1, if you need to buy a home, you're enrolling into the right plan. Number 2, your credit doesn't get hit if your servicer gets transferred. So really brief recap. If you are a lender and you're wondering, oh my God, millions of people are going into forbearance again because of this lawsuit, I guess we're just going to have to disqualify people. We don't know what to do. LoanSense is here. We are partners to lenders to not have to worry and wonder, what actions do I have to take to get these borrowers out of forbearance? Let me tell you why this matters. Let's say somebody comes in with $100,000 of debt. If you're using Fannie Mae 1%, that you have to use $1,000. If you're using Freddie or FHA 0.5%, you have to use $500 towards the debt to income calculation. That disqualifies a lot of borrowers from a mortgage, or they qualify for very little mortgage. By getting them into repayment with a much lower payment, we are qualifying more borrowers and boosting their purchase power by nearly $100,000 in this situation where they're in deferment, okay? So I want to say again, LoanSense can do it despite all these Forbes articles coming out and saying the department took down the online application portal for income-driven plans. It does not matter. We file outside of that. And which, by the way, allows borrowers to make a payment based on the formula and remaining payments based on their employer, right? It's based on balance, plan type, employer. So they removed that application, but it doesn't mean you can't enroll. So I just want to put that out there. The Department of Education removes online applications for, let's see here. It's mostly the income-driven plans. I'm just looking at the article as I do this. If you are trying to file for complete loan relief through your public service loan forgiveness application, they've also taken down, it looks like, direct consolidation, as well as enrolling into public service loan forgiveness. Again, we can still file people into it. There might be a slight delay in response, but we can still file into it. We've tested it. This news came out yesterday. We enrolled somebody yesterday and today, and we're able to. So they're saying, what does this mean? It means that you can go, and the article is saying that you can go manually download a piece of paper and write in the answers, which you just do it through LoanSense. You fill it out electronically. You still e-sign it, and we'll submit it for you. That's the easiest way. Otherwise, they're saying you're going to go to the library of forms online, blah, 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 blah. You have to figure out how to get it in. Skip all those steps. We'll do it. And again, if you're trying to get public service loan forgiveness payments counted, they're under the Biden administration, they allowed borrowers to buy back that time they weren't paying that's usually filed at the point of forgiveness. It's up in the air what's going to happen with the buyback, but if you're PSLF qualified, it is best to get into repayment, and especially if you're close to forgiveness, get into repayment with as low as payments as possible, which means using the lowest of the last couple years of income, even if that means not using your tax return, you using current pay stubs. I would do that because you want to get as many payments counted and not just hope that buyback will exist into the future when we're not 100% sure about that. So if you have questions about PSLF buyback, I need to dedicate probably an entire other episode about that. But, and I'm also speaking about it like everybody knows what buyback is. Buyback is when you make additional payments for the time you weren't paying, essentially to count towards loan forgiveness, okay? We'll next video, I'll make a full video on buyback. So comment below if you're interested in that. Let us know if you have questions. We will link to our app below. We'll also put a discount code below if you're interested in receiving our help because you don't quite know what it means for your specific situation. We're on standby, ready to answer that. Thank you and have a great day.